Imagine waking up one morning, and your first thought is, what is the meaning of life? And your second thought, why is this video game screaming at me in interpretive brushstrokes while a choir whispers grief in Latin? Welcome and good evening. My name is GlitchPlease, and today I present to you Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, a game that answers no questions but asks hundreds, most of which are, am I dead yet? Roughly 680 out of 700 of its philosophical inquiries are completely meaningless. But don't worry, it's art. Right? Clair Obscur sounds like a perfume you'd find in a haunted metro station in Paris, somewhere between existential dread and mold. And that's exactly what this game is. It's a mood. It's a vibe. It's a dissertation about mortality, disguised as a turn-based RPG. The premise is simple. Every year, a divine oil painting witch named the Paintress announces a number, and everyone of that age dies. Instantly. That is called the gommage. This year? She says 33. You just turned 33. Congrats. You're not a protagonist. You're a poetic expiration date. But hey, at least you're not alone. You've got a team, a colorful band of trauma victims who speak in riddles, bleed metaphor, and carry more baggage than a train station. The setting itself is an artistic achievement. Vast, decaying cities steeped in Baroque architecture, abstract ruins, and dreamlike corridors. Every environment drips with symbolism, sometimes literally, as paint motifs and brushstrokes animate the world's textures and lighting. The strengths of the game lie in its original, metaphorically rich premise that captivates players from the start. The environments feel handcrafted and conceptually unified, enhancing the immersive experience. The atmosphere masterfully blends melancholy, mysticism, and grandeur, creating a unique and engaging world. However, the environmental design often prioritizes aesthetics over functionality, which can sometimes hinder gameplay. Navigation can be confusing as visual clutter makes paths unclear, leading to potential frustration. Some areas feel more like static installations than interactive spaces, which can detract from the overall experience. Now, let's talk gameplay. Yes, there's technically some. It's turn-based, but not really. It's also real-time, but only when the game feels like it. You don't attack. You manifest emotional intensity. You don't defend. You confront the echo of your pain. The combat system is half Persona, half Undertale, with a splash of, what if combat required self-reflection? And yeah, it works. Sort of. Dodging attacks requires actual reflexes. In a turn-based system, you're never really safe. And the skill names, things like Angel's Eyes, Mezzo Forte, and Dansu's Waltz. I tried to heal a party member with Chevalier Thrusts. I ended up reopening a childhood wound. Combat animations and feedback are fluid and responsive, enhancing the overall experience. The game demands focus and attention, creating tension in every round. However, there are some critiques as well. Skill names and effects are often metaphorically named, making it hard to understand their actual function. Timing windows can feel tight or inconsistent, especially during complex sequences. The UI lacks clarity under heavy visual load, making it difficult to track cooldowns and status effects in intense moments. Let's talk about the combat, or as the game calls it, interactive emotional breakdown. And guess what? It kinda works. This game gives you a stanza from Baudelaire and says, "Figure it out, pig." Imagine trying to read a combat log written in fire, overlaid with mist inside a museum. Cool? Yes. Practical? 9. Every screen looks like the Sistine Chapel if it was painted during a hangover. Each environment screams, "Look at me, I'm a metaphor." But when you scream back, "Where's the feeing door?" the game just weeps. You'll spend 30% of your playtime staring at visual allegories for trauma, and 70% wondering if that weird glowing archway is a boss fight, the save point, or the spiritual manifestation of your last breakup. Enemies? Each one looks like Guillermo del Toro's wet dream after eating a cursed baguette. Music. The music. It's like if Hans Zimmer and Enya got in a bar fight inside a church. There's chanting, screaming, violins having a stroke, and every 30 seconds, someone whispers the word grief. 10 out of 10 atmosphere. Also 10 out of 10 chance of emotional collapse. The game doesn't really tell you. It gestures at meaning like a Parisian mime on morphine. There is no plot, there is only implication. Buried beneath 12 layers of symbolism, unreliable memory, interpretive dance, and one woman's thesis on grief expressed entirely in oil paint. The intro cutscene alone lasts longer than my last relationship. It's filled with dramatic stares, whispered trauma, and dialogue so overwrought it could crush a high school poetry slam beneath its weight. We start in Lumiere, a floating city designed by someone who clearly hates geometry and loves trauma. Once a year, a magic obelisk turns on, screams a number, and everyone of that age explodes into glitter. This is called the gommage, which is French for emotional carpet bombing. This year, the number is 33. Gustave, age 32, watches his fiancée get Thanos snapped into art confetti. So, naturally, he joins a suicide expedition to go find and yell at God. Or rather, the paintress, a divine being who looks like the physical embodiment of final exams and parental disappointment. He teams up with Maëlle, his adopted sister and the emotionally constipated main character. Lune, a scholar who probably cries when a semicolon is used incorrectly. And Ciel, a warrior monk with the vibes of a therapist who's seen too much. Then they immediately get ambushed by Renoir, yes, like the painter, who shows up with his army of failed anatomy studies called nevrons. Everyone dies, except the protagonists, because plot armor is stronger than death. From there, it's your typical existential road trip across dream jungles, haunted ruins, and visual metaphors that require a PhD in semiotics to navigate. You meet the Gestrels, mutated gremlin merchants with side quest energy. Eski, a cheerful rock fetishist who teaches you how to fast travel using magic minerals. And later, Verso, the emo ghost son of Renoir, who joins your party when Gustave dies like a French hero, dramatically and pointlessly. Turns out Maëlle is actually Alicia, Renoir's presumed dead daughter, living in a painted reality created by her mom, the paintress, to protect her from the fire that disfigured her. Yes, the entire world is a magical painting. The gommage, an art-powered genocide ritual. The expedition, performance art with casualties. The final boss, Mom and Dad. In the end, you choose. Stay in the painting and live in a fragile paradise of denial, Alicia's ending. Or destroy the dream and wake up to grim reality, Verso's ending. Either way, everything fades, because nothing is real, except pain and symbolism. Let's talk about your companions. They're all beautiful. They're all broken. They all monologue like they're being graded on emotional trauma. No jokes, no joy, just unfiltered, weaponized melancholy. Gustave, the rational tank. An engineer turned field commander, His gameplay style is punch things with math, but inside he's just a tragic French dad waiting to happen. Symbolizes order, logic, and the false security of reason. Dies heroically, probably just to make a point. Maëlle, Alicia, the actual main character. Orphaned, traumatized, metaphorical. Her fighting style shifts constantly, like her identity. She's a walking identity crisis with a sword and a secret. Represents the duality of self, who you are, who you pretend to be, and who your mother paints you as. Lune, the intellectual. Calm, analytical, suppresses her emotions like a true academic. In combat, she mixes pigments like a magical barista, unleashing spells that scream, "I read Derrida, and I'm not okay." Skill, the wholesome one. Former farmer, now battle grandma. Uses tarot cards to predict enemy actions because she's basically a psychic church aunt. The emotional glue of the group, and therefore the most dangerous one to lose. Verso, mystery goth prince. Looks 22, sounds 100. Probably hasn't blinked in years. His perfection-based combat style rewards you for dodging flawlessly. Because of course he's a perfectionist. Carries enough guilt to sink the Titanic. Monoko, the wild card. He's not human, he's gestrian. He adapts mid-fight by eating his enemies and wearing their identities like hats. Combat Pokemon meets French existentialist. Says things like, pain is the only truth, while head-butting bosses. Renoir, the villain. Leader of Expedition Zero. Renoir was once a hero, now he's just a rotting pallet of daddy issues, wrapped in armor and sadness. He wants to protect the paintress, his wife, because she's the only thing left that makes him feel like he still exists. The paintress, the cause of all your problems. She doesn't chase you, she doesn't shout, she just whispers a number once a year, and people die. She's not evil, she's artistic, she's grief in human form, a god with a brush and a death wish. Every character is not a person. They're themes. Every attack is a metaphor. Every death is a symbol. They don't resist fate. They give it a performance review. Let's not lie. Clair Obscur is desperately trying to be art. And guess what? It succeeds. It's beautiful. It's emotional. It's drenched in atmosphere. But it's also so far up its own ass, it's looped around and started eating itself. You don't get closure. You get ambiguity. You don't get catharsis. You get monologues about memory and decay while looking at a crumbling statue of your dead childhood. It's like if Kojima made a perfume commercial about death, abandonment, and eyeliner. Clair Obscur. Expedition 33 is one of the most gorgeous, unbearable, melancholic, artistically feral RPGs I've ever played. It's brilliant. It's pretentious. It's soul-crushing. Playing it is like being locked in the Louvre during a thunderstorm with nothing but a notebook full of Sylvia Plath quotes and a boss fight about your parents. Some will adore it. Some will cry. Some will never recover. Me? I'm gonna go stare at the wall for 20 minutes and contemplate mortality. Would I recommend it? If you like. Emotionally dense, tragic storytelling. Combat that punishes your soul. Games that feel like poetry assignments gone wrong, then yes. Go suffer. You'll love it. If you just want to hit monsters and loot pants, run now.